If you haven't had your coffee yet this morning, you're definitely going to want one after this episode. I sit down with Fred Smith, the owner of Old Rail Coffee Co. out of Kawartha Lakes, Ontario. Fred has so much energy and passion behind his brand, and he really gets into the detail of why coffee. And we also talk a little bit about sales and his background of really what he does during the day and how he really sells coffee at night. So let's dive into this episode because you're going to want to dive into one of his bags of beans during this episode.
Well, thanks for jumping on. Like, I feel like this is going to be a fun conversation because everyone's drinking more coffee right now. I feel like too, working from home and the lifestyle, it's definitely something that I find more and more people are talking about is coffee these days. So tell our listeners how you got into the industry you're in and why coffee.
Yeah, so basically it started this time early March. We were locked down and I kind of was scratching to get something going. And previously I was working in Mississauga. So it was like a huge espresso market. Everybody was drinking espresso. And it was funny. I was sitting there one day and I was like, I got to get something going here. And I kind of had coffee in my mind before that. And I just started writing stuff down, like trying to get the name going, trying to source beans, basically starting from nothing. Like this all started 1 year ago as an idea on my notepad in my kitchen, sitting there being like, I wonder how I can get this going. And it's actually pretty crazy. A year later, like my house, I have 2,000 pounds of coffee in my basement. And it goes out all over the area now. So it's a cool little story for anybody that wants to put their nose at it, because anything's possible, really. It just takes a lot of work, and persistence is key.
What kind of were the stepping stones connecting you into the coffee world? Like, was it like you say, the espresso market, but with your background in like the John Deere world and like really kind of dialing it in and having two different careers in a way, how did that kind of work out?
Well, you'll laugh actually, because one led to the other. I was introduced to a gentleman through my job that I have now. And he said to me at the time, he said, basically, like, would you ever be interested in pursuing another side business, is what he called it at the time. And I said, wow, it's actually interesting that you say that, because yes, I'm kind of, coming up with ideas as to what I want to do. And he goes, if you've ever thought about coffee, he goes, you come and give me a visit. And I said, yeah, no problem. I had no idea what I was getting into. This guy is like a coffee genius, knows everything. They roast, they have like an absolutely massive facility. So it's all the craziest story how this all came together. It's like it almost found me in a way. I was looking for it and it was looking for me. And it's all just clicked perfectly. Like I can't even explain it.
And that's what I think when you got to put it out there, right? Like you obviously had that feeling that you wanted to have like some type of a side hustle in a way, and then creating it into something more. I feel like more people put that those feelers out there and actually talk about it. So then those things do come up, right?
Yeah, that's the secret. You got to manifest things. I don't know if you've ever read the book or listened to it, but it's funny. A lot of people lately have been talking to me about it, and they're like, man, it's crazy. Everything that I say kind of starts to happen. I said, yeah, you just got to say it and think about it. And all of a sudden one day it'll come true. So
exactly. Well, and the more you talk to people too, like that's something that I love about this new podcast world is like you're kind of interconnected with a lot of people without even knowing it. And social media right now too, like even your social media page, like that, the fun, bright, like what you were saying, how you like with the editing photos and stuff like that, you really feel happy looking at your page. And even like, I mean, even your coffee, I've obviously tried it myself because you were gracious enough to send me quite a few bags of it. And like,
oh yeah,
you're supporting local as well, like especially being here in Ontario, knowing the background of the business and knowing where the beans and stuff come from. So tell us more about like how hard it was to try to figure out what coffee beans to go with and the detail that went into the packaging and the design and everything.
Yeah, so I'll just say a little blip about our Instagram. So I work with a girl named Chase who's unreal. And her company is called Creative Conscious or Conscious Creative. Sorry, I spin them around sometimes. But me and her have been working hand in hand, and she's like amazing. She can has all these settings for Lightroom and all the pictures. And yeah, she makes our page super inviting and warm for people to check out. We get that compliment all the time, and it's 100% Chase's ability to just tweak pictures and make them look amazing. I have a couple of friends. Jeremy Johnson's his name. He lives out in Hawaii. He helps me out with some really cool content, and so does Daniel Jacket, actually out in BC. So between all these people, they help out so much. But to jump back over to the coffee and how we actually got the roast that we're with now, it was quite the story. Like, to find and source coffee beans that are of a very high standard is pretty hard. Once I found the gentleman that I did find, it was a lot easier, basically, though, because he has so much knowledge, right? And he knows the market and what beans basically match which areas. So yeah, we did some sampling with him and had a few people's input on what we were going to run with, and decided to start with five roasts. So basically we just sampled, and he was a huge help. Went through everything with us, what we were to expect, basically the mixture of the beans. So all of our beans are 100% Arabica, and they're basically, it's just a mix of variety of Arabica beans. But yeah, he helped out with basically an old rail blend, we'll call it. So they're not copying anyone else's, it's signature to us. So yeah, it was a cool experience, to say the least.
Wow. How much coffee do you drink in a day? I just want to know.
You know what? I have an espresso machine in my kitchen, and I could drink a million of them, but I can't. Like, it's just too much. So I'm taming it right back. But right now I'm only doing a couple a day, but before it was a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of having to test all of them, right? I would be wired.
Oh yeah. When we were sampling, it was almost to the point where I was like, all right, this might not be safe how much coffee we're drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so where are you retailing right now? Are you mostly just retailing online, or are you retailing in other storefronts? What kind of marketing are you doing right now as well?
Yeah, so we obviously have our storefront online, which is oldrailcoffeeco.com, and then we have Algoma Orchards in Bowmanville carries it. Just Brew It in Belleville carries it. Boiling Over in Lindsay carries it, and Holy Grounds in Cannington carries it. So
wow.
we're slowly trying to get through to everybody, but those four that I just listed, they've been amazing, and have helped me out huge getting it into the store. And it's been a really good couple of months. People have been loving it. So it's good to see the reaction from people. That's for sure.
That's really good for only having the business for a year. Like, literally from starting to where you are now. That's incredible.
Yeah, we're trying. I'm trying my hardest. It's tough though, because there's so many competitors, right? Like, it seems like everybody overnight started a coffee company, but it's cool. I'm not into it to, be this super competitive guy. Like, drinking coffee is pretty relaxing and just sit back and chill, basically. So if people like it, go ahead and order.
Exactly. It's kind of like the breweries. Like, I feel like there was like this time where it was like all these micro breweries all at once, and now it seems like coffee's been like a huge growing market in the past couple of years.
Oh yeah, it's basically like the micro brewery just jumped into the coffee scene. Everybody says that. It's like the micro roaster now.
Yeah, exactly. So how many is on your team right now? So you have your like social media marketing team, and then you've got like people helping with content, which you said like through social media and stuff, but are you actually the one packaging the packages yourself?
I do all the orders. I fulfill the orders at night. My girlfriend helps me out. My parents help me out quite a bit. I got some buddies that help out when it does get crazy busy, but I have a girl that helps me out with my graphic design and stuff. She's amazing too. So between her, Chase running my social media, my parents and friends, and everybody around that supplies content helps out. It is a team effort. Able to do it. If it were just me on my own, I would have been struggling a while ago.
Well, even from your kind of like your mentor, let's call him, the guy that was helping you with all the beans and everything, to the marketing and social media. Like, I look at a lot of businesses, they scale because of the community feel and people wanting to help them, and they really believe in the product itself as well. Because once you like something, you're going to talk about it, right? That's just naturally what happens.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I think he probably could sense maybe the passion I had for getting it going, and just said, okay, let's take a chance on this kid and see what he's going to do here. So
That's awesome. Now, what are some of the big struggles, like some of the biggest struggles you have gone through to date, like within your first year? What's something that you can share with our listeners that is something that was really kind of a pivoting point of realizing like, okay, this is a big deal. This is actually like a career and like a product I'm putting out there.
okay, so the thing that I'll say that was the most challenging was getting it going, and the amount of tasks that you have to do. Like, you got to source your coffee, you got to get your bags, you got to do your labels and make sure that they're up to standard to go in certain places. But the biggest thing is like looking at a list of things, and you can't jump all over. You have to sit down, go through them one at a time, because if you start jumping and scrambling, you won't get anything done. So that was the biggest thing, just the overhead of stuff that we had to look at and go, okay, this has to get done today in order for this to happen tomorrow. So yeah, it was basically just putting everything on a list and going at it. But yeah, once it got off the ground and started rolling, right now, the biggest hurdle that we have is definitely our labels and stuff like that, getting them ready to basically go to that next step, right? Like if you want to be in these bigger box stores or hop on Amazon or anything like that, they have to meet a standard. So that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah, that is, I own a product line, but in the beauty world. And it is one of those things when it comes to even making a barcode. People don't realize the effort and the time and money that it goes into even making a simple barcode. And even like you said,
oh yeah,
having that checklist, right? Like I feel as entrepreneurs, we're like going every which direction. And it's like you said, we got to do what we need to do today to go to the next step tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, if there's anyone listening that's, basically working at something that they want to start, just honestly, you have to build a list and prioritize on that list what's going to happen today that can get me going for the next step and the next and the next. Because some days you just look at your list and you're going, holy, like, how am I going to do all this? So it's baby steps. It actually is. It's not that crazy once you just start chipping away at it. So that's my advice to anybody.
I call it the never ending to-do list.
Yeah, the never-ending honey-do list.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like chipping it away, like you said, that making small goals, that you might have this big task that like getting into a big box store, getting, like you said, onto Amazon or any of these other retailers, figuring out the steps to get to that point. I think more people need to realize, like, you're not going to wake up and be this crazy successful person overnight. It has to all happen. And that's the thing with these podcasts, and the podcasts I personally listen to too. It's great because you hear the why of why people are getting into what they're doing, and as well as seeing like the journey they've gone on as well.
Oh yeah. I love listening to podcasts now. It was something that I did before, but I never really jumped in as deep. I listened to a guy, his name's Brad Lee. It's called Dropping Bombs. Super insightful. Like, he gets some smart people on there. But it's funny, the biggest thing that I'll take from listening to those is that everybody has been doing it. Like, consistency is a huge thing. Nobody just started it last night and made it overnight. That's the biggest thing I run into. People are, I don't know if I want to use the word naive, but it's like, it takes time and it has to build itself. Like, no one ever started from the very bottom and jumped to the top overnight. That's what I take from most of those.
As a busy entrepreneur, I know how important nutrition is for my brain health. I know how I need to be on all the time, as well as my energy levels. Now, a lot of my energy also comes from my healthy gut, which is my nutrition and food. Now, Goodfood, if you haven't heard of it, it's definitely a good idea. If you put in promo code Nicole 3x2, you will get 40% off or more on your first order. Now, I'm just warning you, it's a little addicting. I definitely get it every single week, and it has changed the way I am in the kitchen, as well as my productivity and time management. No more going to the grocery store. I barely have to go. The only time I have to go is for the essentials like coffee creamer, coffee, or any of those type of little miscellaneous things I might need around the kitchen. But once again, we will put the show notes below for you to get your promo code through Nicole3X2. Happy shopping, everyone.
Now with the, like, your steps on, did you call like a lot of stores to like talk to them, or did you drop samples off? What were kind of the first steps of getting into some of these retailers?
Yeah, definitely a lot of samples went out, and it's kind of a networking thing because we're based in the Kawartha Lake. So I grew up here, have lived here. So I knew a couple of the people. It was like a friend of a friend thing, right? So that it's all through networking, how you get stuff done. The more calls you make, the more people you're going to meet, the more opportunities you're going to have, right? So it was basically that. Yeah, cold calling, knocking on doors. This COVID thing's been crazy for knocking on doors, though. It's super hard, and I feel like people hide behind their phones a lot more now than they ever did. But you know how it is. Cold calling is just cold calling. It's hard.
Oh yeah, I am not a salesperson, I'll tell you that. With our product line, I've been trying to get a little bit more out of my comfort zone. I'm a people person. I absolutely love people, and I love talking and like educating people and trying to see the light of something. But to try to sell something, like, obviously I believe in it if I created it, but it's difficult to just jump on a call with somebody, because I'm also from Bracebridge, like small town, and I know everybody basically.
Yeah.
Like basically
Yeah.
the Walmart greeter that knows everybody. So I'm like, it's one of those things where it's hard to just call someone and say, hey, do you want to sample some product? Like, hopefully you're interested. I'll mail it out. Let me know, kind of thing. So have you had sales experience, or what's your experience kind of diving in from other careers that you may have had in the past?
Yeah, I had sales experience. Like, I went to school. It's funny because I had a boss once that chirped me, and he's like, nobody's ever gone to school for sales and marketing. I'm like, yeah, I actually have. So, yeah, I was a sales and marketing intern actually for the Pete's, the hockey team in Peterborough there. So through school, I did that. I had to do it for my internship to pass, and then I'm a territory manager for John Deere. So I sell heavy equipment. So I'm technically by trade a salesman.
What the heck you're doing? Wow. Come on. So even with, you're selling beans 1 minute, coffee beans, and then you're selling heavy duty equipment on the other hand, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep, like, obviously my day job is my day job, and I'm super dedicated to keeping it that way, right? Like, I try not to intertwine the two. Old Rails at night and John Deere's in the day. So I just try to keep those two going. But yeah, it's quite the experience, I'll tell you that.
That's so funny. I find that's another thing that people don't realize is, like, you see these businesses, but the people actually working these businesses could be working a completely other job. Like, that is a prime example right there, right? You're literally working another full-time job, and then you're doing beans on the side as your hustle. But when you look on your social media, you look at your website is amazing. You go through and you're like, wow, this is like a legit company. It's like the founder must be doing his thing day in, day out, and you're working two full-time jobs when you think about it, right?
Would love it, but it's not right now. Obviously, what am I going to do? Quit my job? And you got to keep both going. Like, they both kind of have themselves built up. So without one, I probably wouldn't have the other. So I'm just trying to grow it.
Well, and it creates balance. That's the other thing that I love. Like, we own a spa industry, like a spa where we do services as well as like a product line. And I love them because they're both so different. So I can go in and do services on a client, but yet I can be a salesperson the next day. Like, I love having variety, and that each day isn't the same either.
Oh yeah, that actually is true. When you do the same thing day in and day out, it just becomes repetitive, monotonous. You're like, oh, this is dragging on.
Yeah, go a little stale after a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, so you're 1 year into your business, and you're already in, did you name off like 4 or 5 different store locations, right? I think there was.
Yeah, 4 or 5 stores. Yeah, hopefully we can keep getting more too. But with what's going on right now, like, it's so hard to call a business and say, hey, would you take on, a new product line? And yesterday we got told that the doors are being all shut. So obviously I can kind of read a room and go, yeah, I'm not even going to make that call. So I'll wait till all this stuff kind of whatever happens with it happens, and hopefully things kind of go back to somewhat normal. And once they do, I'll, chip away at getting into a couple more places. But for the time being, I think it's kind of rude to call and be pushy almost. So I just stay away from it.
Well, I personally appreciated the coffee when it got delivered to my house, and your shipping was like fairly quick as well, I noticed. So it was like, even the coffee, all the coffee you gave me, I was like, okay, I'm going to be good for a while here. So we've been getting through the first bag, and well, you saw some from the little reel I did. I grinded it down and did our little Keurig. So that's a huge thing where it's so diverse, where you can have it in like your old school coffee pot, and or you can do it in like a Keurig, Tassimo, whatever works best for people. What is your best seller right now, you would say?
Oh, okay. California Zephyr sells really well. And so does Eurostar Dark. I actually drink Eurostar Dark like every day. I love it. And Station Blends our espresso bean. It's really good. Belmont Grand's really good too. And so is Eurostar. They're all pretty good. So one doesn't outsell the other by a landslide. So that's actually good, because it means that there's good variety there. But yeah, California Zephyr is probably on the top, and so is Eurostar Dark. So, and then the espresso's Station Blend. Everybody seems to go for that. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, even how many different bean styles did you go through to kind of figure out which ones you were going to go through with?
I think we went through close to 15. So yeah, between them all, and one day, don't get me wrong, I'd love to get all of them on the lineup, but obviously when you start, you got to just pick, you can't get them all. So we picked the top 5 that everybody agreed on and went with that. But maybe coming up into the fall, we'll introduce something else too. That would be cool. I got a name picked out, so we'll see what matches it.
That's fun. I was gonna say, I love when all the different brands, like, I mean, in my world, there's like nail polish names, but like when people are like, oh, just to even name something, like name your coffee, right? Like the different flavors and different blends. So you personally named all of them yourself?
I named all of them. The cool thing about the names, those are all famous trains from all over the world. So like the California Zephyr was a train. I don't know. We went with the old rail name, and I just thought it'd be cool to put famous trains as the flavors, and people love it. Actually, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I learned something new. I didn't know that. Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we get train enthusiasts too. Like I have people that message and are like, "Oh, this is awesome. I love trains. Like this is named after a train I love." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
Now, where's like most of your buying from? And do you find it's a lot of the Kawartha Lakes because that's where you're located from, or where's like the farthest you've had to ship?
Oh, I've sent stuff to Hawaii, BC, but yeah, around here is most common pretty much. Like we drive some stuff into Vaughan. We work with some companies out there that give it to their customers and stuff like that. But yeah, mostly local to here, I would say right now. So hopefully trying to expand and grow it.
Awesome. And even too, like even with the geotagging and stuff on social media and like marketing, even I had quite a few people message me, and I'm here in Muskoka. So it's a way of people see things, like you said, the whole train thing, like they could be train people and not even coffee drinkers, but it might like pivot them to that direction with keywords and the way social media works as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been doing a lot of research to try and get into the BC market. There's a ton of little railroad towns in BC where the train used to run through. So I'm trying to get into that right now. But obviously, with everything going on, it's kind of tough, right? So watch, hopefully soon I can get into a couple stores out there just to go with their whole vibe. So it's kind of cool. It matches a lot of small town feels, which is what we're going for. So.
And it's still keeping that Canadian flair there as well. Like you think of the Canadian, like you think of the railway, you think of like, it's just, it makes sense. Like you said, and going into those small towns, small communities, like why wouldn't they go with something that pairs so perfectly with the brand?
I know. And when we were building the brand, like I kind of wanted to keep it old school a little bit. You know what I mean? It has that older vibe to it. I love that. Like I see a lot of coffee bags in the stores that are shiny and they're very brand new looking. I'm going to try and stay away from that. I kind of like the feel of that old school bag and just keep it. It looks original. It actually does. So we're going to try and keep that going.
So where do your beans come from then?
So our beans are all roasted and packaged in Mississauga.
Okay, awesome. So everything's basically in Canada.
Yeah, but the green bean itself, they come from all over, anywhere from Kenya, Indonesia, Central America, South America, yeah, Guatemala. So it's all a mixed variety of beans that goes into the roast. So
That's awesome. That's really
If
cool.
you're a busy person like most of us and forget to take your vitamins every morning, Cara Vitamins has made it extremely easy to remember. What I personally do is I just put the box beside my coffee maker, because we all know I can't forget my coffee in the morning, and I make sure that my everyday vitamins are ready to go, either if I'm on the go and/or I throw them in my purse. It's a great way to keep them all in a compact space, as well as keeping your cupboards and cabinets clean and simple. Now, with my promo code capital NME7GR, you will receive 50% off your first order. Now, another great thing I love about this business is they really care about you. Now, when you go online, they're going to ask you questions of why you need vitamins or what you're really needing in your everyday life. Personally, we all need a little bit of extra energy, maybe some extra magnesium, things like that. And this is a great way to keep the questions out of your mind when going to the grocery store and/or a drugstore to pick up your vitamins. Now, once again, that promo code is capital NME7GR for 50% off your first order.
Cool. I find now, even with coffee, like I was looking back at TikTok like a while ago when COVID first started, and everyone was doing like the coffee and then the froth and all the milk and all the fancy.
oh yeah.
Oh, I like, even for myself, like all I put is like almond milk basically in my coffee now. I'm a pretty like, I don't know, the whole drinking coffee black, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm slowly getting there, slowly but surely.
Oh yeah, once you get good coffee, like I have to drink it black pretty much to taste it all, right? Just to taste the different undertones, because if you drown a coffee with cream, they'll all taste the same. So it's so hard to be like, okay, this one's got an undertone of, chocolate, or this one's got an undertone of wine. So
yeah,
I've got used to drinking it black, but if you get a coffee that's very bitter, it's pretty hard to put back.
I think I was scarred once, and then I just haven't been able to do it since. So I think even with your coffees, because of the undertones in it, like when I was reading the different bags and the flavors and stuff, I think I'm going to have to I almost want to take each bag, because you gave me a flavor of each one, and I should do like a little tester of each one and kind of try to guess which bag would be kind of interesting to do.
Oh yeah, you should actually. Like once you get sipping it black, you can totally tell. And then you can tell when you put the cream in it too, just as long as you don't put too much. But it is a 4 cream, 4 sugar. It is pretty cool though, like the swing in coffee. If you get a really good coffee, especially an espresso, like a toffee espresso, you can totally taste the differences in them. So yeah, it's all just about good quality, really.
That's amazing. Do you find your market is more of the younger generation or older, or kind of all over the place? Where's like most of your buyers age?
Well, yeah, what's funny? It is actually a younger demographic. Like, yeah, we obviously get older people that sit down and have their coffee every morning, but yeah, it seems to be younger. Well, I have the apparel too that's coming out, so people like that side of it. We're trying to be more of a lifestyle brand than just coffee, like a bag on a shelf. We want to be out and people having fun and sipping on our coffee. But I would say it's probably like anywhere from 25 to 40 right now, and then obviously anything a little older. So
yeah, well, I also feel like I think of my parents, they're in such like that generation that just drinks like the Maxwell, like they drink their like coffee they were brought up on. I don't think they'll ever change the day they die. Like that's just
and that's brand loyalty to the nines. Older people are super brand loyal. Like it's crazy. Whereas as me and you, probably I'm open to trying new stuff, right?
Yes.
Whereas an older person's like, well, I drank Maxwell House for 35 years, may as well keep her going.
Yeah, well, what I should do is sneak some at the cottage at my parents and see if they notice a difference. They probably will. They'll probably notice a difference. But I did that
with my dad, because he's obsessed with Tim Hortons and will not change. So I just scooped it and changed it. He kind of noticed. He's like, "Did you change my coffee?"
Oh God. Did he say a good review or bad review? What was his testimonial?
He's just said it was different. I don't think he likes change.
Yeah, that's that generation for sure. Well, and that's that's like the coffee. Like I just think of my grandparents. I think they drank coffee all day. Like I think of the generation, like you said, you can't really teach an old dog new tricks, right? So
No, they drink it by the pot too. It's not by the cup. Like older people love crushing pots of coffee.
oh yeah, I'm a one coffee a day person because if I have any more, I'm like wired. I'm like on this ceiling. Like
And yeah, and then you get the jitters and you can't focus. Yeah, you got to be careful.
yeah, definitely. And the hydration, making sure to drink water too on top of that. But with
Yeah,
your
water's big.
have you experimented at making like iced coffees as well with your blends? Has like had a lot of people have been giving feedback about that as well now that the summer.
Yeah, we're working on iced coffee right now. To be honest with you, I would have loved to have it in a can and already had like an iced coffee to go, but it's just an entirely different animal and it's basically like getting started again, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do if I'm gonna put it in a mason jar and maybe like keep it locally that way.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Just yeah, just to kind of get people onto it to start. But yeah, we've been playing around with it a little bit and just seeing how it's gonna taste and stuff like that. But it's tough, like to keep it actually good. It's so hard to I don't know how to package it basically is where we're at right now.
Yeah, and the preservatives, you'd really want to make sure that you're trying to keep it as natural and pure as possible without overdoing it on preservatives to keep it.
I know that's the thing, right? Like I don't want it to be this giant sugar cup. So that's the hard part right now, but that's definitely on the list of to do. So
Amazing. Well, and that's a great thing. Like we think of coffee, but we think like you've already got 5 SKUs. You think of all the different things, the possibilities around the apparel, like you're touching so many different things. And then there's iced coffee. There's so many different things that you can do within coffee.
oh yeah, like somebody said to me today they were using my coffee in their food. I think they were cooking tiramisu or something like that. They're like, yeah, we ground up your coffee and it was unreal. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Oh my gosh, cooking with coffee 101.
I didn't even know you could put coffee in tiramisu. But anyway, no, it's cool to see. Like, I think I should probably start getting into more like recipe style stuff because people love that, right?
Well, even I think of in the beauty world, like we use coffee or caffeine, green tea. We use all kinds of things like that for scrubs and exfoliants. It helps actually with like cellulite, stretch marks, all that kind of thing, because it actually activates the cells in your skin. So that's another thing, like coffee scrub, like after you or after you do coffee, you have the grinds. Some people actually put that into like a scrub for their bodies. Yeah.
Yeah. So my girlfriend actually has a bag of it. And I was checking it out the one day and I was going, this would be kind of cool to get into. But I just need to almost focus on one thing because I'm getting iced coffee and coffee scrubs and like, yeah.
That's what with our product line, the girls are always like, okay, no more. Like I'm always wanting to invent different things or come out with like, I'll be like, even over Christmas break, we're like, okay, for 2020, we're done. We're not making any more SKUs. We're not making any more products. Then over the Christmas break, I was like, oh, we're launching a new product come 2021. They're like, are you kidding me? Like,
Again, oh yeah. Well, it's just hard, right? Because it's like doing another thing. I want to do all of them for sure. It's just one by one.
yes, exactly. Well, and even look at like, I think as entrepreneurs, we have to reflect on how far we have come and like even what you've accomplished in the year of like having your business is incredible of already being in 5 locations.
Yeah, I try not to. I'm probably my own worst critic. Like I'm pretty hard on myself. So I just put my head straight down and don't look up, basically, is what I've been doing. I don't know. That could be good or that could be bad. I do appreciate the props on that, but yeah, like I got in my head where I want it to go, so I'm not looking up until I'm there, I think.
That's awesome. So what are some of your big goals for this year or for the next couple of years coming? Where do you see your business going?
Well, I definitely want to double our retail presence for sure because obviously with coffee, like you got to move volume, right? Onesie twosies aren't going to get it done. And yeah, I just want people to basically learn about our brand a little bit more. We're doing some cool stuff coming up this month with an environmental giveaway. So I'm steering it that way too. Like we plant X amount of trees per year. So because we started in the fall, I couldn't do it right all winter. So I've been planning all winter, but we got a big tree plant coming up that we're gonna give back from all the coffee that's been bought, and we're gonna put some trees in the ground. So that's kind of a side, yeah, that's a side of it too that I want people to know. But yeah, definitely in the next few years, like I just want my brand to grow and people to try our coffee and see what we're all about. And that's kind of what I had in mind. So
Well, and I think it's nice to have, like, when you have a brand, to have your why behind it, like what you said with the environment and planting trees, like knowing that there's a mission behind that business that you're supporting.
oh, for sure. And like, it's crazy nowadays. You drive down the road and just see garbage all over the side of the road. So I was wondering if I could incorporate like once a month a cleanup or something, maybe even locally, just to try and help out. But yeah, planting trees is on our list of things to do. Maybe in 5 years' time, I'd love to have like 1,000 trees in the ground. That would be pretty cool. But baby,
We heard it.
baby steps, right? But no, I think it's cool to give back. Like we take coffee off of a tree, so we may as well give back to the. I know the world needs them, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's something that I think, like, even getting the community involved, because like you obviously are a business within a community, and it's, even with COVID, I've been mind blown by the community support that people have really pivoted the way they're buying, the way that they're supporting other local businesses and asking how they can support, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It's good. Like tough times like these, everybody needs to use what they have around them instead of driving to Walmart or Costco. Like you got this stuff around you, you may as well take advantage of it, right?
Exactly. And you just feel better. I always feel better when I'm purchasing something locally, or I'm reaching out to a brand like yourself, like where I'm like, okay, this is a company I rather be buying from, like you said, than a big box store for sure.
Well, and then that way you know the person. Like a perfect example is like maple syrup. I would way rather buy homemade maple syrup that I know came out of a tree 10 minutes away from here than go get, it's probably corn syrup at Walmart or whatever, right? Like it's not even real. So stuff like that, I always want to go local with for sure. So
Well, I know with honey too, they also say, because of pollination and everything with honey, for example, we get honey from locals just down the street from my parents. And they always say you should be getting your honey from someone local because of the pollination in the flowers. It's actually better for your immune system. And I wonder with like maple syrup and things like that, if because of the trees and the pollinations and things like that, if it's very similar as well.
yeah, it might be. I heard the same thing about honey too, actually, that you're supposed to have it local because there's, I don't know, stuff in your area that it strengthens your immune system to it, which is actually kind of crazy. But
Yeah, bringing it kind of back to mother nature, right? Like why we're living here. And like that's the other thing I've noticed now with pollination and even allergies and stuff, now that we're into like more of this, I don't know, this weather is incredible for the months we're in. So
yeah,
it's been amazing of just seeing all the different people out and about. People are walking down the main street now wanting to purchase more. And I think it's this feel good, like what we were saying at the beginning of the call, of that sunshine and everyone's feeling good about it. And then that's why I brought up the iced coffee, because I was like, even with
oh
your
yeah.
coffee though, you can make iced coffee with it, right? You could make it
I
happen.
know. I just don't know if I put it in a mason jar, I don't know how long it's going to keep for. Like I'll drink it within a day, or
Yeah.
whoever made it will drink it within a day, but I would be scared if it sat for a couple of days. I don't know how well it keeps, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll come interview you next year and I'm sure you'll have it figured out by then.
I hope so. I hope.
For those who have been listening, you know I'm a massive fan of Squarespace, and I don't really know what I would do without them. With both our brick and mortar store as well as our e-commerce, I can do everything in one place. Whether it's e-commerce, I can do inventory, email campaigns, appointments, and so much more. Now, Beauty Behind the Brand has partnered up with Squarespace to offer you 10% off your first subscription. All you need is promo code PARTNER10.
Yeah.
Or it might be before that. Who knows when you'll have it up and running.
I would love to have it before that, but that's wishful thinking, right? We got to stay focused here.
Yeah, focus, dialed in. Exactly. Well, this was awesome. I think I've learned a lot about coffee as well. And I think the industry of coffee and how all over the world, like you're touching all these different countries that are growing these coffee beans and actually bringing them into Canada and branding it and seeing it all come together. It's incredible.
Oh, it is cool. Yeah, you don't even realize how connected people are. But yeah, when you get into this, like it comes from, like I said, Central America, South America, and stuff like that. It comes in a sack and they're all green beans and have to get roasted. So it's pretty crazy when you're like, oh, this came from the other side of the world. So
Yeah, that's so cool. And even supporting those countries as well, and like helping their economy grow and bringing it back here to Canada as well.
oh, it's huge there too. Like all those southern, like Brazil and all over there, like their coffee is amazing too. So it's pretty cool to get it brought over here. And yeah.
That's amazing. I almost like we were traveling quite a bit before COVID obviously happened. And it was so interesting going to all these different countries and how different coffee was to each one of them. Like you'd order a coffee and someone comes over with a pot and just pours it right away, or they go and make you a little espresso fancy coffee. Like everyone treats coffee a different way in different countries, which is really neat as well.
I know it's like a way of sitting and relaxing. They all do it a little bit differently. I actually want to go. I don't know if it would be through Europe, but I'd love to go to Italy and go through all the little towns, maybe go to Brazil and just try like all the different coffees. I want to do that and film it and make like I don't know, a funny little YouTube thing of us trying all the coffee. But whenever all this stuff goes away and we can be free again, I'll be doing it.
Yeah, free again, keyword. Whatever normal is, who knows what normal is anymore.
Oh, I know.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much. This was awesome. And I will keep drinking your coffee, obviously, and be sharing more content about it because it's really good. I'm really impressed with everything you're doing and your story behind it as well. So I'm glad I finally got to meet you in person. Well, as personal
Yeah,
as we get, right?
and thank you so much for working with us. That's awesome. Your reels are unreal. Your pictures are amazing. So we were super happy when you shot those for us. That was awesome, and I'm glad that you love the coffee. I hope I can keep sending you beans for years to come. So
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Fred. Have a good night. Thank you.
see ya. Thanks.